Republican Senator Tim Scott of the beautiful state of South Carolina. His book, Opportunity Knocks, is out. I recommend it highly to anyone who needs to be inspired about growing up on the wrong side of the tracks and still making something of your life. I think that is an understatement in the senator's case. Senator, good to have you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Neil. Absolutely. It's good to be with you again. Hope you're well.
Same here. You too. What do you make of this? These Obama comments? Obviously, you know, these conversations on a phone call picked up that he is echoing something we've heard from others, that this is Democrats who say the administration's response has been weak here. Now, not all Democrats, because others, like the California governor, talked about how the president has delivered for his state. But this is going to be a theme, no doubt, that's going to come up in the Dr. Fauci testimony with some of your Democratic colleagues, maybe some of your Republican ones. What do you think?
Yeah, no doubt. I'd say that the former president's comments were unhelpful, unnecessary, and unfortunate. The truth is, when you're in the middle of a pandemic, a global pandemic that the world has never seen before, let's focus on all hands on deck, pushing in the same direction. We need to get our economy back open, and at the same time, we need to continue to flatten this curve and to reinvest in testing. And if the comments are not heading in that direction, then we're having a conversation that should be delayed until after we are beyond this pandemic, or at least on the tail end of the pandemic, and we're not there yet. We have a lot of work that needs to be done. We need every single mind focusing on how to A, keep Americans healthy, and B, reignite this economy, because that, unfortunately, will lead to even more deaths than we have predicted so far.
You know, you talk about the economy, Senator, and harkening back to your book, Opportunity Knocks, you talk about the disparities, you know, in various groups. And I was thinking about African Americans and the progress that had been made, dramatically reducing their unemployment rates and getting more jobs. It's now reversing itself in light of the shutdown in the economy. It's unavoidable. But those rates are going up at a faster, those unemployment rates are going up at a faster rate than they are for whites. Does that concern you?
Well, I think any unemployment concerns me. I mean, think about it this way. Hispanics were around 4.2% in February. In April, they're almost 20%. African Americans were around 5.2, 5.3% February, early March. And now we're at 18.7%. Whites have seen their numbers double or triple. And Asians have done the same thing, lower, but yet we're still seeing that. What that tells us is a couple things. Number one, if you are on the lower end of the economic totem pole, you typically have jobs that require you to go to work. And some of those jobs, requires you to go to work in the retail sector, the restaurant sector, and in the hotel sector. Those three have been devastated. And so if we're going to get those numbers coming back down, we've got to focus our attention on consumer confidence to go into retail stores, to go into restaurants, and to do business travel and leisure travel that includes hotels. So I think this is a temporary shift in the numbers, but for us to get it back, we have to realize that the American economy is driven by confidence. It's an intangible thing that becomes tangible in our activities. We haven't seen that yet. So the country and the states can reopen the restaurants and the hotel rooms and the retail outlets. But unless we have confidence from the American people, they won't show up, which means that stagnant unemployment rate that has been around for 4 or 5 weeks will not get better quickly. That's bad news for the economy. It's worse news for America's health. And we're going to have to tackle that. And those are some of the questions I will direct towards Dr. Fauci in the same way that I did last week towards Dr. Collins. We have a chance to reshape this recovery, reshape the health crisis by having more tests on demand and by using some of the latest technologies, something called CRISPR, which is as close to a genetic knife as you get. We've got some tools at our disposal that I'm pretty excited about from a scientific perspective that may actually help us to flatten the curve and maybe even see it have a sharp decline over the next several weeks as we have more tests in the marketplace. We are heading in the right direction, and we're getting there faster than we were just 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You know, there are a lot of people who have criticized the president for being in this rush to reopen the economy. without addressing the concerns of medical personnel. This report that the White House buried a CDC study that looked at ways you go about this and some of the things and precautionary measures you should take. I don't know where you stand on that, but among some of the recommendations they wanted were a lot more aggressive than the stuff we're seeing now. Do you know anything about that? And do you think the administration is rushing this?
I don't think the administration is rushing it. I think what we have to do is to take a look at our reigniting the economy from a panoramic perspective, and then we have to go from the macro to the micro. Said differently, there are parts of the American economy in places like South and North Dakota where you have low density. It allows you to have a faster opening and, frankly, a faster recovery. My former colleague, Governor Noem, of South Dakota has already been able to move forward because her state has not been negatively impacted. States like South Carolina, where we've had some impact, we can move very quickly forward as long as we do it with a methodical, progressive step forward towards reopening. No one's rushing at this point, at least in South Carolina and the states that I've studied around the country.
All right. We'll watch it very closely, Senator. Good seeing you again. Be well. Be safe.